This is the Bioenergetics Knowledge test. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through all the facts and all the information to do with bioenergetics. Question number 1. Write the photosynthesis word equation and the balanced symbol equation. So word equation means you're going to write it out in full: carbon dioxide plus water, arrow, glucose plus oxygen. So think about it, a plant is taking in carbon dioxide, taking in water through its roots, and then what it's doing is it's providing glucose or making glucose and giving out oxygen. And obviously at that point there, what we've got is we've got light. Light yellow doesn't show it very well. The symbol equation is CO2 plus H2O goes to C6H12O6 plus O2. But then what you've got to do is you've got to balance it. Right, so you just got to remember it's basically loads of sixes, 6 there, 6 there, and a 6 there. That is then the balanced symbol equation. And don't forget, light. That yellow is terrible. Light goes there. List 5 ways plants use glucose. Right. Firstly, plants use glucose in respiration. Right, now respiration is a bit of a funny one really, because you don't imagine that plants actually do respiration, but what they do is they do it at night. Okay, so when there's no light around, they are then respiring, which is their growth time. Number 2, right, it is stored as insoluble starch. A potato is mostly starch, or a large percentage of it. It's also stored as fats and oils. So for example, peanuts, right? Peanuts have large amounts of fats and oils in them. Number 4, it's made into cellulose, right? And that is then for cell walls. Okay, so the glucose itself, the glucose is made into cellulose for the cell walls. And the last one is it combines with nitrates, right, that it gets out of the soil, that it gets into fertilizers to make proteins. Label the parts of the leaf. Right, let's go for it. So the top one is waxy cuticle. Okay, so that's the very outside layer. Over to this side, right, what we've then got is we've got epidermis, right, which is a bit like the skin. Here we've got palisade cells, and we've also, I've done palisade on this side as well, palisade cells. Here we've got, spongy mesophyll. Right, and what they are is they are cells with lots of gaps in between, and hence the spongy mesophyll. Here we've got guard cells. Okay, so those are the ones on the outside, and then we've kind of got it already labelled is the stoma, right, which is basically the whole. What is the formula for calculating light intensity? All right, the formula is light intensity, okay, that's almost like kind of how bright it is proportional to 1 over the distance squared. All right, so what you've got to do is you've got to remember that you're squaring it. Question number 5. What are the 3 main limiting factors for photosynthesis? It is light intensity. Okay, so it's not the amount of light, it's the light intensity that you've got to write down. It is the carbon dioxide concentration. Okay, so the carbon dioxide concentration, so it's not the carbon dioxide it's the concentration of carbon dioxide. and also temperature. Question number 6. What 3 ways does a farmer control the conditions in a greenhouse? Right, what he'll do is he will add heating if he needs to, because obviously if it's too cold they're not going to grow. He will also add in artificial light, okay, in the form of LEDs or bright lights, because obviously in Britain, you know, it's mostly cloudy, so they're going to add artificial lighting. And they're also going to add in extra CO2. So sometimes what they can do is if they put like a paraffin burner or a paraffin heater in there, what you do is you get your heating and you also get extra carbon dioxide in there. So it kind of hits 2 things. Question number 7. What are the food tests? Right, we'll start off with Benedict's. Benedict's. What does it test for? Simple sugars. What's its starting colour? Blue. Whoa, blue. It's kind of like the blue that this pen is actually working on. Right, now this is the best bit. I'm just going to write down green, arrow. Then I'm going to write down yellow, arrow. Then I'm going to write down orange, arrow. And I'm going to finish it with red. Alright, so what it does is when there's not very much, okay, it starts with blue. Well, there's none, it starts with blue. Then as more sugar increases, it then gets darker and darker. And the way to remember it is Richard of York gave battle, which is the colours of the rainbow backwards. So Richard of York gave battle. Okay, or Roy G. Biv, which is another one, just without the indigo and the violet on the end. Next one is the Bioenergetics test. So the Bioenergetics test is a test for protein. And again, it starts off very much the same colour and it goes blue, right? But what happens is it goes purple. Okay, now that's supposed to be purple. It looks very black to me, okay, but it is purple. Okay, and that's it's kind of like a nice lilac-y, light coloured purple. Iodine. Okay, so the next one is the iodine test. And what that is testing for is starch. The starting colour is kind of like a brown orange colour. It's quite a light kind of brown with an orange tint to it. It's browny orange colour. Right? And what it does is it goes blue black. Okay, now to me the actual result always looks black, right? But if they say it goes blue black, then it goes blue black. The final one is ethanol. Okay, so ethanol, alcohol, right? And what it is, it's a test for fats, right? And what it does is it starts off clear, right? It looks like water. There's nothing to it at all, right? And then if you get a positive result, it goes cloudy white. Okay, so it's like a suspension that appears within it. Question number 8. Write the aerobic respiration word equation and balanced symbol equation. Right, so what I could do is I could kind of refer straight back to my photosynthesis, because if I go to my photosynthesis it's backwards. So here I'm going to write glucose plus oxygen, arrow, carbon dioxide plus water. Okay, and what's released is energy. Okay, so that's the word equation. So if they say word equation, you do the word equation. If they say balanced symbol equation, you do the balanced symbol equation, which is C6H12O6 plus 6O2 arrow, and obviously you've got energy coming off there again, 6CO2 plus 6H2O. Okay, so what you've got to do is you've got to make sure you remember, right, the respiration equation, and then you've got sixes in there. Question number 9. I've done this numerous times already on these videos, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through them. Right? Every time I make it too small, so I'm going to write in here chloroplast. Okay, and that is where, I should have done this in green really, photosynthesis occurs. Number 2, I'll do it a different colour, I'll do it green, which is a bit silly. I'm going to call it a ribosome. And that is the site of protein synthesis, not make, protein synthesis. Number 3 is, never going to fit this in the box, mitochondria, which is then the site of respiration. Number 4 is then cytoplasm. Again, cytoplasm. That is then the site of where all the chemical reactions take place. Number 5, I did this one in black, is the nucleus. And what that does is that contains DNA, and it kind of controls the functions of the cell. Number 6, or the line all the way around the outside, we will call that the cell membrane, and that controls what goes in and out of a cell. Question number 7 is the cell wall. That gives it structure and strength, and it supports. And number 8, right, I'll do this one in red. Number 8 is then the vacuole, right, and the vacuole contains cell sap, right, and it also keeps the plant upright. Okay, so what does an organism need energy for? Right, so what do we need it for? We need it for movement. So if we haven't got any energy, we're not going to be able to respire, we're not going to be able to move our muscles. We need it to keep warm, and we also need it for all of the chemical reactions in our body. Okay, so they are the 3 main reasons why we need energy. Question number 11, right? Write the anaerobic respiration in humans word and balanced a symbol equation. All right, look at that. Silly, I've left an extra space. So here we go. So the word equation is glucose. So this is anaerobic. Anaerobic is then meaning without oxygen or limited oxygen. Glucose, it goes to lactic acid plus energy. The symbol equation, right, is C6H12O6, which goes to, now lactic acid, you don't really need to know the formula of it, right, but it is 2C3H6O3. Oh, that's a 3 there, sorry. So C3H6O3. But what you can do is you can see that so that's C3H6O3. So what you can do is it's been split into 2. And then what you do is you also get energy. Question number 12. Write the anaerobic respiration, this time for yeast. Okay, so it's a little bit different. So what we've got here, now we've got glucose, which is what the yeast is then eating, which makes ethanol, which is your alcohol, plus carbon dioxide. I can't fit it in. There we go. And the formula for it, we know glucose, C6H12O6. That makes ethanol, which is C2H5OH, and we need to balance it with a 2, plus 2CO2. All right, so you've got your glucose, gets anaerobically eaten or respired by the yeast, and it makes ethanol and carbon dioxide, which are then its two waste products. Question number 13. What is metabolism? Metabolism is the sum of all of the reactions in a living organism. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be a bit of a monkey. I'm going to change that to 4. Right, so 4 metabolic reactions. Okay, so this is then where we're actually using our energy. It's part of the chemistry, right, the chemical reactions that we're talking about. So the first one is formation of lipids. Right, and where do we get the bits from? Right, we get it from fatty acids and glycerol. Number 2, second metabolic reaction is glucose and nitrates make amino acids, okay, which is then the fundamentals of your proteins. Third one is metabolic reaction is breakdown excess acids, how lazy is that? Excess protein, sorry, to make urea. Now urea is the yellow stuff, right, that's in your wheat, okay, that's urea. So proteins, when proteins get broken down, it makes urea, which is then one of your waste products. And we've also got a fourth one, which is probably the most important one of all that I should have included, is respiration. Okay, they are 4 metabolic reactions. Question number 15, what is oxygen debt? Right, so oxygen debt is the extra oxygen required to remove lactic acid. Right, so when I run up the stairs to get to my room, all right, what happens is I build up an oxygen debt because I've got lactic acid. And I then have to breathe heavier to get rid of that lactic acid. Okay, so name 3 effects on your body during exercise, right? What happens is your breathing rate increases, right? So obviously your breathing rate increases so you can get more oxygen into your blood. Number 2, your heart rate increases, so you can pump blood and the glucose and the oxygen around your body faster, and your breath volume increases, which means your lung capacity